Welcome back to the Mulberry Book Drop. Hi, Bethany.
Hi, Sarah.
How's it going?
Oh, it's going really well.
All right, tell me something good.
We had a bunch of company. So my dad was here and then my mother-in-law, but we went and checked out that new park in Lakeland, Bonnet Springs.
Ooh.
It was really nice.
I haven't been yet.
Yeah. It's very cool. Lots of places to walk. I loved, there's these slides that like you go down the hill. They're kind of like built into the hills.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So
Fun.
it was pretty awesome. There's like a giant tree house there. There's really cool bridges you can walk over. Super pet friendly, but there are places that your dog can't go. But they're very clearly marked. So there's no surprises. You wouldn't accidentally end up somewhere and be like, oh my gosh, I'm not supposed to have my dog in here.
Ooh, there it is.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yeah, we went back. We've been there twice now. So we really enjoyed it.
I have yet to go. I still want to though.
Yeah. Yeah. It's definitely worth the trip.
Yeah.
So, what about you?
I have very exciting news, guys. Very exciting. So, we had our annual, Christmas luncheon, end of the year party, and I won an award.
Tell them the name of the award.
Most likely to end up in a Hallmark movie, which I thoroughly accept.
It was so perfect for you.
Yeah, and I won popcorn, which I've not opened yet. So, but I did. I won popcorn, guys. So, if you don't see me for a while, it's because I'm in a Hallmark movie.
I find it amusing that they thought that you were telling everybody to vote for you, but actually it was us.
It's so funny. So, my mom also works in the city. So, between y'all and my mom telling everybody to vote for me, I won.
We did. We were like, it's Sarah. It's got to be Sarah.
So, I'm going to be famous. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So, do you want to tell them about the city manager and,
Sure.
Okay.
So we're actually going to give him a break this month. We have been so busy in the city. We had the Christmas cookie walk with the tree lighting, and we had our giant employee luncheon, which was absolutely fabulous. And then we also just had our giant parade with Christmas Village. So everybody in the city, all the departments get together and help with all of these things. And we've just all been so busy that we thought this month we would give our wonderful Rick Johnson a break from going over and trying to interview him. And also because the reason we're here today deals with a contemporary romance, and we know Rick doesn't read contemporary romance. So Rick, if you're listening right now, which we know you are, thank you for everything. It has been an amazing holiday season so far. After we finish recording this, we still get to go do story time with Santa, so it's not over for us yet.
Right.
But Rick, thank you again for everything, and we will definitely be catching up with you again for our January episode. So,
Hashtag best boss.
Absolutely.
For real. All right, so Bethany, I'm really excited because we're doing our first ever on the podcast book club today.
Yeah, we are.
So if you haven't already read this book, I need you to, after I say the title, I need you to stop it. I need you to read it real quick and then come back. All right. So our book today, and I'm holding it up. You can't see it, but Bethany can. We're reading.
She totally is showing it to me.
We're reading Beach Read by Emily Henry, which we talked about Emily Henry a couple podcasts ago when we talked about contemporary romance. She wrote People We Meet on Vacation, Book Lovers. So this is Beach Read. So Bethany and I both read these. I'm not gonna quiz her. We're gonna discuss it. So, and she does the adult book clubs, but I'm going to attempt to do an adult book club today a little bit.
Oh, I'm really excited. Just so if I ever need to take a vacation, you can, jump in for me with my group.
I wouldn't go that far, but yeah. So what I want to do is read a synopsis just to refresh your mind if you need it real quick. So Augustus Everett is an acclaimed author of literary fiction. January Andrews writes best-selling romance. When she pens a happily ever after, he kills off his entire cast. They're polar opposites, which is how Bethany and I both read our books. In fact, the only thing they have in common is that for the next 3 months, they're living in neighboring beach houses, broke and bogged down with writer's block. Then one hazy evening, one thing leads to another, and they strike a deal designed to force them out of their creative ruts. Augustus will spend the summer writing something happy, and January will pen the next great American novel. She'll take him on field trips worthy of any rom-com montage, and he'll take her to interview surviving members of a backwoods death cult, obviously. Everyone will finish a book, and no one will fall in love. Really. So the first thing I want to ask you is, we talk about Goodreads, or we're both on Goodreads. I'm curious on what you rated the book from 1 to 5.
So I gave this a 3.
Okay.
Yeah. And I believe I gave People We Meet on Vacation a 3, and I gave Book Lovers a 4.
Okay.
I think. I would have to double check, but I definitely gave this one a 3. And my main reason for this was the cult part was a bit of a stretch for me.
Mm-hmm.
I was sort of like, how do we go from a contemporary romance to this? Like, there could have been something else he had been researching that maybe would have pulled the story together a little bit better for me. And the other thing is, I was going through my Goodreads real quick, and I just realized that this is apparently an issue I've had for a while with certain books. But why do characters always have to be drinking?
Always.
Yeah. And I just don't... It's like in a thriller, you want them to be drunk all the time so that they're like unreliable, and so you're not really sure what's true and what's just like a drunken haze. But even in this one, like, is them drinking supposed to make you feel like they're like relaxed and romantic? Like, I don't really understand the purpose, I guess, sometimes.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
I get that.
So I don't know, if I wrote a book, I don't think they'd be drinking. I'm trying to figure out what they'd be doing. And we were sort of joking before this, but maybe it fits. I think they would just bake cookies.
Yeah. I'm 100% for it.
Yeah. Or eating ice cream.
Yeah. Like when they get stressed out.
Yeah.
They come home, they bake.
Oh, I would stress eat ice cream. Yeah. I think maybe that's what my characters would be doing all the time.
Okay. Interesting.
So I don't know.
I as well gave it 3 stars.
Okay.
And mine was, I think, for a couple different reasons, because you're more thorough in your book reviews on Goodreads than I am. I typically just, vote whatever star I think it deserves, and then that's it. Mm-hmm. I totally get the whole drunk character thing too, because part of me is also like, okay, like, also these characters are getting a little bit older, and why do they still act like they're like, 2021?
Mm-hmm.
And the constant drinking. So I get that. And part of me with the cult storyline, I think what the author was going for, what Emily Henry was, I could be wrong, I don't want to put like words in her mouth, but is the whole, because he's a literary fiction author, that she was just trying to find something, and she just went completely like overboard a little bit with me, or like, in my opinion, I think she went a little bit overboard with the cult storyline, because also I don't feel like we learned a ton about the cult in the same sense. Yeah,
it just sort of
was there.
Like, fell off. Like, it was just kind of, it was there, but it wasn't.
Right.
It was almost like it was an excuse. It was an excuse to put them out somewhere in the dark, in the rain, in a tent, because they couldn't, remember, they couldn't get back. Sorry, spoiler, I hope you did end up pausing to read this. But,
yeah, you should have. I'm kidding.
But no, it was an excuse to take them away from the beach houses that they were staying at, to go somewhere that was going to be like remote and alone.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that was the main purpose of it. But again, you could have been researching anything else.
Yeah.
Also,
I think because if you know the cover, it's a bright yellow cover with a guy sitting on one side on a beach towel reading, and a girl laying like in her swimsuit with the beach towel with the big sun hat.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all, this did not really it really had nothing to do with the beach.
No.
You know how disappointed I was about that? I was like, it's going to be such a happy book. It did not feel like a happy book at all.
They barely went out back and looked at the water.
Yeah, I was like, for real?
Yeah.
Like, the whole time I'm reading it, I'm like, when does the beach come? And then they go camping in the tent, and I'm like, are you kidding me right now? So that's how I feel. This was my least favorite book by her. Don't get me wrong, she's still a great author. Like, I still thoroughly enjoyed the book.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not like I loved People We Meet on Vacation. I gave that one a 5-star. And it made me cry. And then I hugged it after I finished reading it.
Aww.
So, I did not hug this one.
And 3-star for me, though, is like a solid star rating. Because for me, it's like, if I know you enough, I would know whether my 3-star would be something that I would tell you, hey, you might enjoy this, versus my 3-star being something like, ooh, I'm not even going to tell them about this one because they're not going to like it. It's just one of those ratings for me where I can completely understand both sides of it. And I'm not mad I read it. I enjoyed it, and I would absolutely go on and read something else by her. I think she has a very easy and readable writing style.
Yes.
Which I appreciate. And now that we've read 3 of her books, almost like some of the other authors that we like Simone St. James, Megan Miranda, like, they have an outline. They have a way that they write their books, and it just works.
Yeah.
It works. It's not boring, but it's comforting because you sort of know what to expect, at least a little bit. And then there's still a little surprise here and there.
Agreed. And if you didn't know, Emily Henry has a new book coming out called Happy Place in April of 2023. So we're both already on the want to read list. So we're patiently waiting. But I was going to wait to ask this question a little bit further down, but I actually want to start here because I feel like if we get the depressing questions out of the way, then we can get to the happy questions.
Okay.
So, one of the questions that I have is what do you think about the storyline of January's father?
Well, I don't know. It's kind of sad.
Yeah.
And again, we picked this up knowing that it was a contemporary romance.
Right.
And so you're kind of going into it expecting that, sure, your character is going to have some sort of a struggle, but that they were going to overcome it and things were going to turn out okay. And the stuff with her dad was just almost a little depressing.
Yeah.
And I think for me, I kept focusing more on what was going to happen between her and Gus, or the comfort in like her best friend still being in her life, because I found the stuff with her dad to be uncomfortable. Like the fact that lady also lived in that area. If you guys read this, you know what I'm referring to. I'm trying to do this without spoiling it for people who maybe haven't read it yet, but I'm not sure if I can.
Well, I'll say it again. Pause it. Go read it and then come back. Thank you so much. I'm kidding.
But you know what I'm referring to.
Yeah.
She basically, as an adult, finds out something about her parents' relationship. And it's one of those things where it's like when you find it out, there's no going back.
Right.
And that's just sort of sad.
It is. And like, I mean, my parents got divorced when I was very young. And so, but like to grow up thinking your parents had the perfect marriage. And then come to find out that after he's gone, you've a whole nother life.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's just, it is sad, and it's supposed to be contemporary romance, and I'm like, where's the Hallmark feeling?
Well, and apart from her dad, like her mom really wouldn't talk to her about it either.
At all.
And that also is just, that's rough.
Yeah.
You know, at some point in an effort to raise a healthy child, sometimes you have to have an uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah.
And I think that's human. I think that's just human. And maybe that's what makes these books a little more realistic sometimes when you're thinking in terms of romance. But
right. I'm not here for realistic.
No.
Kidding.
I'm here for Hallmark. I'm not here for realistic.
Yeah. I'm here for the Hallmark, but a little less cheesy.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all that I'm going to cover on that topic. So let's get to the happy stuff. Well, we'll ask one more question, and then we'll get to the super fun things. Okay, so we're talking about January having severe, like, writer's block in this. And part of that is because of, like, happening, like, she's a romance author and finding out, you know, her parents and everything. But have you ever experienced something like writer's block? Because neither one of us are necessarily writers. But, like, have you ever experienced something?
I think, well, like you said, I'm not a writer. But I think I am a person, and I do get blocked at moments in my life. And, like, right now I'm sort of going through, like, a runner's block. And I keep telling myself that I'm going to start running again. And then I wake up the morning that I tell myself I'm going to start, and I look at my comfy chair, and I look at my coffee pot, and I go, I'm going to sit under a blanket, and I'm going to read a chapter of my book and drink a cup of coffee instead before I go to work, because I just don't feel like it. And I think that's a block that I'm dealing with right now, which is a shame because I ran a lot last year and did great. And I know I'll get back out there, but, you know, it's just one of those things. Sometimes you get so far blocked, it's hard to get going again. But hey, don't worry about me, guys. I'm still playing tennis. I'm still doing all the stuff.
Super active.
But yeah, I don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I think that's what I would relate to that, maybe.
Okay. I get into, I would say, like, reading block. So like we call them slumps. I'm in like a reading slump, and it happens to me several times a year, guys. I know that's weird to, because like our whole entire podcast is based off books, but it's, well, the library, but books. And it's one of those, I think part of it is because I am in school. So sometimes when I feel a little overwhelmed by school, I'm like, oh, I can't read right now. Or I just ignore school and just read. I'm kidding.
But see, whenever we talk about it for you, like when you do go through those moments, it almost makes me think, if you guys are up north, you'll understand this, but seasonal depression.
100%.
And you're reading, it's almost like your own form of seasonal depression. You like kind of feel like you're supposed to be, I was really enjoying these thrillers, and now all of a sudden I just can't get through a chapter. And it's like, hey, guess what? It's because you're in the season of your contemporary romance.
Yes.
And that's what you need to be reading.
For sure.
And then all of a sudden in a couple months, that's not going to do it for you anymore. And you're going to go through a phase where you want to read memoirs, like, you know, the Matthew McConaughey one that got you out of a slump. Like,
yeah. No, 100% that's what it is, because that's when I typically find a new author too. So like Riley Sager helped me. I read Final Girls. That got me out of a reading slump last year. So it's so funny. Like I just have to mix up my genres.
Yeah.
And then like I'm good.
You're a seasonal reader.
Yeah. And it was funny because I was actually talking to a friend the other day who was from up north, and he said, he goes, Floridians can't have seasonal depression. And I was like, what? And he goes, it's sunshine all the time. I said, bro, you don't think we want it to get cold? So, but yes, so I like that. I do that makes it make sense. So sometimes I do get into those. And then if I just quickly change up the genre, like I'm good. So like right now I'm actually listening to books, and I haven't listened to books in over a year. So that's like...
I've been doing that too. I've been trying to get myself back into audiobooks a little bit. And I just finished my first one last week. I listened to one of my first book club ones because I found out that it was read by the author, and it's a nonfiction one, and I do really enjoy nonfiction audiobooks. Yeah. And it was the first one that I actually finished all the way in a long time.
Oh, see, and I'm re-listening to the Selection series, which I know we've talked about, so I'm not going to talk about it, but so I am re-listening to it. I'm on the 4th book right now, listening.
Yeah,
like
see?
In a week, literally in a week.
Oh, see, we're both going to be back at it in no time.
Yeah. Okay, so if you could visit a setting in the story, where would you go? Part of me wants to be like the beach because they didn't go enough, but I'm not going to say that.
No, what was the lady's house that throws the huge party?
Oh.
I would go to her house. Was it Jo? No.
Maybe?
What was her name?
Oh, what is her name? Hold on, let me find
the bookstore lady. Well, anyway, she hosts like a book club at her house, and then they threw like some crazy party. I don't know. I just think her house would be kind of fascinating.
I'm totally going to find her name while I'm looking for her name.
Yeah, I would want to go there and see that in person. And I would maybe go to the beach house because I wouldn't mind standing on the dock and actually seeing the water, since they really didn't visit it, and I know it had to be there.
Yeah, so one of the things that I always like, one of my biggest things in books that I always want to see are the kitchens in houses. Yes. I love cooking.
Well, and that was a big thing in the book, though, was how they were in their own houses, but still sitting across from each other so they could see each other through the windows. And that would be kind of fun. Like if you were in one house and I was in the other, and we could sit down and look at each other and just kind of get the view that they had while they were working on their books.
Oh, yeah.
That would be kind of funny.
It would be. Okay, I'm looking at the name. But while I do that, it's funny that you say her house, because I want to go to the store.
Oh.
Because it's a coffee shop. Well, kind of a coffee shop. Coffee shop and a bookstore. And that's honestly one of my dreams, is to own like a bookshop / coffee shop. I would absolutely love that. So I'm still trying to find a name.
That was one of the things that cracked me up too, was the owner, apparently her coffee shop was like the absolute worst coffee that you could ever have.
Right.
So that was very entertaining for me. Okay, so while you are searching for her name, I do just want to bring this one up too. Pete. Oh, was it Pete? I don't know why I said Joe. Probably because I was thinking cup of Joe.
Yeah.
Like a coffee. Pete. Okay. At the very beginning, I was kind of into this book right away because it started with the quote, "I have a fatal flaw. Maybe, for example, you didn't have much control over your life as a kid. So to avoid disappointment, you learn never to ask yourself what you truly wanted." And I was like, oh, that's deep.
That is
I
deep.
thought this was a contemporary romance. Why are we going there?
Which is clearly what we're thinking the entire book.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys can relate to that, but it was just one of those moments where I was like, it's so true. Like people have complained sometimes about like our kids' haircuts or whatever. And my husband's whole philosophy is like, there's so few things in life that they can control. Just let them have this. Mm-hmm. So like our first big family photo session, my oldest had a mohawk. Like it just, and he ended up looking adorable. They're like my most favorite pictures ever. But it was one of those things like when you're a kid, you really don't have control over anything.
Right.
You know, and so then as an adult, we do sometimes get stuck in that where you're like afraid to be assertive and ask for what you want or what you need.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I know.
All right. Well, with that, do you consider yourself optimistic?
I think so.
You think so?
I think so.
So you would almost relate more to January than Gus.
Yes.
Because Gus does not seem to be optimistic. AKA he kills all his characters off in his books.
Yes.
So, okay. I like to be optimistic.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, my next question, do you believe in happily ever after?
I do, but I mean, I think you have to work for it. Mm-hmm. I don't think you can just say, I think that's what bothers me sometimes about the idea of Disney movies and Disney princesses. Like that you get your happily ever after and you don't have to try anymore because it's just, this is it and this is great. And it's like, well, but the story continues even after you turn off the TV. You can't just give up and stop working at it.
Yeah.
So
one of the things that I love about this book is there are so many good quotes in it. Mm-hmm. And like a lot of them I think like Emily Henry comes up with. So this one says, if you think the story has a sad ending, it's because it's not over yet. And so when we say like happily ever after, like at the end, and then they come out with like the Little Mermaid 2, and you're like, huh, it's not over.
Yes.
So that goes for happy endings and sad endings. Okay. I as well believe in happily ever after. So, but with that, I wanted to ask you if you're willing to be open a little bit, how you and your husband started dating.
Okay. Well, we knew each other in high school and we were friends in college, but we didn't actually start dating till after college.
Oh.
So we ran into each other at a mutual friend's Halloween party after we were done with college. So we were both like back in our hometown and we were both invited to the same party.
What did you guys dress up as?
I did not actually have a costume. I was called last minute and told, just get over here. Oh. And I was like, oh. So if I remember correctly, I was wearing like a pumpkin t-shirt and like blue corduroy pants. Do you remember corduroy, Sarah? Did you ever have corduroy? You're too young. You guys remember corduroy. Anyway, I think that was it. I didn't actually have a costume.
Okay.
So, but I don't know. I got there and said hi to a bunch of people I hadn't seen in a while. And Matt was in the living room and then we started talking and then just kind of carpooling when we were going to hang out with our friends. And then a couple months later, we went on our first date.
Aww.
So, yeah.
So cute. So cute. Okay, well, there's a quote that makes me think of y'all from this book. And it says, I've never met someone who is so perfectly my favorite person.
I like that.
That makes me think of you guys. Because if you've ever been around Bethany and Matt, which odds are you probably haven't, because like you probably don't see them as much as I would see them. But they're always funny. They're hilarious together. They know how to have a good time. So, and her husband is so nice. Like, you can pick up and have a conversation with him. If I haven't seen him in a few months, he's like, hey, how are you? And
he's
it's just
easy to talk to.
Super easy to talk to, which I appreciate because, you know, when you like meet your friends' boyfriends or like meet someone's husband for the first time and it's just awkward. Mm-hmm. Matt's not like that at all, and I really appreciate that.
Oh, that's nice to hear.
Yeah. So shout out to you, Matt.
Rumor has it somebody was talking to him at the Christmas Village and said that it's almost weird how much him and I sound alike.
Huh.
Like how similar we are, like
when you talk?
The way we talk and the way we act or whatever. And I was like, oh, and then I said, well, I guess that's what happens when you've been married, like, well, not married, but like together for 22 years.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, that's 22 years this month. So.
That's a long time.
I guess. I mean, sorry. He's a foot taller than me, so there's no chance we're ever going to look alike, but, you know, we are apparently acting alike.
Interesting. I don't know that I've ever noticed that actually with you guys.
Now you're going to be paying attention.
I totally. Oh my gosh. Okay, so I kind of have a funny story, which I'm totally going to embarrass myself and throw myself under the bus because I too want a happily ever after or a happily ever right now.
I mean, you got to start with the right now and then you can turn it into an ever after.
Right. So I am single, guys, and I had a friend that said, oh, I got on a dating app. You should get on it with me. And I was like, you know what? Let's do it. Why not? Y'all, 2 days in, and I was like, I'm over this. I'm so done. Like, this is awful. Which, no offense, if you found the love of your life through a dating app, that is amazing. I don't believe that's how I'm supposed to meet my person, which is totally fine. But after 2 days, I was like, you know what? Let's have some fun with this. And so if you're familiar at all with dating apps, which was not Tinder. I was not on Tinder, but it's still like one that you have to swipe. I think swiping whatever way that you like people, you do the heart. I went through and hearted every single person. Because I said, let's make this interesting. And then I chose cheesy pickup lines to send. Because why not?
You got to tell them the pickup lines, though.
Oh, for sure. Hold on. Let me pull them up. So one of them off the top of my head, I remember. It is, are you a bank loan because you have my interest? Or you've got my interest or whatever. Which some of them were like, no, I don't have a bank loan. And I was like, oh.
They probably thought you were some sort like a troll or something. You were going to ask for their information.
Clearly I was trolling them. But they immediately were like, no, I don't have a bank loan. And I was like, oh, nope, you're not matching the vibe. You're gone. Mm-hmm. And then one of them was, y'all, just so you know, people are creepy. So be extremely safe if you're ever on any of these. Just because people can say like really weird things. Like I had people that were like asking for my number right away. And I was like, no. So one of the other pickup lines that I did is your name Google because you have everything I've been searching for. That one, people were a little weird with that one. And by weird, I mean real weird. And then the last one that I was using was Christmas lights come and go, but I'll light your life up forever, baby. It's BB, like BB, like the letter BB. And so most of the dudes got really weird with it. And I was like, oh. But one dude, the only person that matched any of these was, except for the bank loan one, someone was like, what's your credit score? And I was like, that's funny. But one of them was like, when is the marriage? I accept. I never messaged him back. And then after all that, I deleted the app. But I was like, you know what? I said, these dudes just don't get it. They don't get my humor. So
they're not worth it then.
It is what it is. I'm no longer on the dating app. I don't know if my friend is. We haven't talked in a couple days.
You just got to get out there in real life, Sarah. You'll find them.
Oh, yeah. Well, this helps me stay single, to be honest.
We have several friends who met people through apps and stuff, and super, super wonderful couples that are still together. But
yeah, well,
I mean, Matt and I dated before cell phones.
Yeah.
So you show me that stuff, and I'm like, I don't even understand it.
Yeah. Well, and like my mom wouldn't care if I told you this, but that's how she met my stepdad, was on a website, dating website. So I know tons of people who have. I just don't feel like that's how I'm supposed to meet my person.
Yeah.
Because, no, not at all. Anyways.
Okay. Well, since we're talking about you for a second, can I just tell you that on page 81, literally page 81, our author totally mentioned the movie A Walk to Remember, and it was part of the plot. And I literally threw my book up and was like, Sarah!
Y'all, that is one of my top 3 favorite movies.
Yeah, it was on page 81. I can't remember exactly what the sentence was. I just marked down the page because I couldn't believe...
Yeah.
I couldn't believe she used that movie.
Yeah, let me see where she... Oh. Someone said, because she says, promise not to fall in love with me. The dude Gus says it, promise not to fall in love with me. And she goes, oh my God, are you slightly misquoting A Walk to Remember? And he goes, excellent movie. Sorry, film. And
I said, did Sarah write this book?
No, because But y'all, that is 100% top 3 favorite movies. I completely forgot about that. Oh my gosh. Okay.
So can we just bring this back to the book for a second, though? Because I wanted to ask you a question.
Oh, okay.
So if you were going to write a book, though, like I know you kind of asked me if I would be more of a January or a Gus, but what about you? Like, do you think you would rather write a romance or would you rather try to write the great American novel?
I would 100% try to write a romance.
Yeah.
To be honest, because this isn't a secret, but growing up, like, I just never saw romance. Mm-hmm. And so now when I read contemporary romances, which I know, guys, they're unrealistic. Okay. I get it. I love Hallmark movies. I know they're unrealistic, but I would 100%, and it would be based around Christmas time. I would be a basic romance writer. 100%. Okay. With a happily ever after. And with maybe a dog, and the dog never dies. So, yes. Because I don't, listen, y'all, if there's immediately a book with a dog in it, I don't read it. Because I'm like, I don't know what's going to happen. So, but yeah, no, I would 100% be a January and write a romance.
Okay.
With a happily ever after. Yeah. Maybe
that'll be our next project.
Writing a book. If you see it, you guys have to buy it. Or check it out, whichever. So.
What other questions you got for us?
My last question.
Okay.
What is your perfect beach read? And I don't mean just going behind a house and looking at a water. I mean actually going to the beach and reading a book on the beach. Or in your pool in this case, because I know you read a lot in your pool.
I do love to read in my pool. For me, a perfect read, first, it depends on the font size. Because anybody who reads outside knows that when that sun is shining, it really messes with your eyes. Mm-hmm. And so you need the book to be of a certain size to block the sun out. Mm-hmm. But you also need the font to be of a certain size so that you can read it without hurting your eyes. I know that sounds ridiculous, but if you guys read outside, you understand. And that usually leads me to like a hardcover thriller.
Oh, okay.
I actually really enjoy reading thrillers and stuff. So like kind of like Riley Sager, like that would have been a great one over the summer. If it had been pool season, I probably would have just stayed in my pool and knocked that one out in one float.
Okay. One float. I like that.
One float. But I do also really enjoy, I have been enjoying some of these contemporary romances that we found. So like, the other one that I had tried recently was those Meg Cabot books. It's a small series called Little Bridge, and it takes place on an island, kind of like off the coast of Miami, I think. It's like down in the Keys somewhere. I don't know. And it's just this little island called Little Bridge, and the characters, there's one book that deals with these two people, and then the next book, it's like a librarian and a sheriff that kind of end up getting together. And then in the next book, there's like a big book event that happens that brings in like a couple of authors, and then the authors, like something happens with them. And so those are sort of like a light romance, and those are really fun too for something like that for that time of year. So those would have been really good beach reads or pool reads.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
I am definitely like a contemporary romance person, but also historical fiction. I can't believe you
said that.
I know. Crazy.
We've come so far.
We have. We really have. But also I've been reading, the last couple times I went to the beach, I was reading historical fiction. So like World War II.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the last time I was reading The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo.
Oh yeah, but Taylor Jenkins Reid is a great pool beach read.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Yeah.
So do you have anything else to add about the book club?
I was going to say one thing. This book definitely had what I consider like an obvious structure. So I had marked down where it's like you have the life-changing event that sent you from the big city to the small town. You have supportive in their own odd way best friend, right? Like her best friend was kind of a big part of the story, even though she wasn't actually like there all the time. You have the small town oddities. So like the bookstore. Oh, look, I even had Pete written down. You have the book club, the donut shop owner, the underwear. Oh my gosh, guys, there was a donut shop and they go in there and like the owner is like serving up donuts wearing underpants. I'm like, what is happening? You have the guy next door, I'm wearing the worst outfit, yet I look really cute, and that's when they first meet each other. So like all of those little things were like this very obvious, expected, but done in her own Emily Henry way.
Yeah.
But I think if you do start reading enough contemporary romances, you're going to find like, check the box, check the box, check the box. So when you write your book, you need to make sure you have this list.
You have to check. Yeah.
So, did you notice some of that stuff too, though, as you were reading it?
Yeah. It is, and it's for sure with Emily Henry, because I think she's my favorite contemporary romance author right now, even though I've only read 3 of her books. I've read more of her books, contemporary romance, than other authors. So for sure, I've noticed that, which is kind of the same way a Hallmark movie works.
But what about Sloane and the Happy Ever After playlist?
Oh, I did like that one, but I actually like the first book better. The Friend Zone. Yeah.
Yeah. That one was
cute. I did like that one more than the playlist. I think it's whatever you read first.
Yeah.
So
I got Sarah to read another one. It was a trilogy, but you only read the first 2 so far, right?
Yeah, I have the 3rd one at home.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So.
But I feel like that author is Emily Henry-esque.
Yeah, is that Abby
with Jimenez?
Jimenez?
Yeah. A little more cussing.
Yeah.
Especially in the one.
Yeah, like
but not too bad.
The Friend Zone wasn't bad, and then
yeah.
And then the second one, the playlist one, I was like, whoa, all right, okay.
Cool, what did I say? I was like, maybe because the main character is supposed to be like a cool musician.
Yeah. I was like,
that was my excuse. I have no idea.
I said, whoop, there it is. So, okay, well, I have one last question for you before we skedaddle. And that is, what are you reading?
So, I finally picked up I just forgot the title. It's the Office Ladies.
Oh, is it like the BFFs? Or something?
I'm totally messing up the title, so make sure you check the show notes. But it's Jenna Fischer and Angela Kinsey from The Office, and they are best friends in real life. They do have a podcast together, but I just really love seeing their Instagram and some of the, like, them hanging out together. And they actually met on The Office, but became best friends, and they have continued their friendship for years and years and years. And it's a really fun book because it's almost like a conversation between the two of them, and lots of photos and stuff from behind the scenes, which is amazing. And then they keep sharing all these awesome stories of the other actors, but also the people behind the scenes that don't get nearly enough credit. And it's just, and also like their families and stuff. Like there was one spot that I read on my lunch yesterday that almost made me cry, and it was that you watched The Office, right? Okay, so you know how it was always a really big deal when they did their like Halloween and Christmas episodes?
Yes.
So Halloween was a huge deal for everyone on The Office, and they always made sure that they finished early enough so people could go home to their families and take their kids trick-or-treating. And it got to the point where apparently they were all going to this one person's neighborhood, and they would have a huge Halloween party there, and they would bring their families. And so their families were all trick-or-treating together. And like, you know, BJ Novak didn't have kids or anything, but he would go and help hand out candy to the neighborhood. And
how fun.
Yeah. So it was like, they really were just this family, right? Well, when Jenna Fischer, after The Office, she got a new job, and she had 2 kids, like young kids, and they had to do like some extra filming or something. And the only day they could do it was on actual Halloween. And she was heartbroken because she wasn't going to be able to go home and take her kids trick-or-treating. And so she apparently called Angela crying. And so then Angela told her family, and they were like, we have to fix this. We have to do something. And so then she told Jenna, your family needs to come over dressed for Halloween on Sunday, even though Halloween wasn't supposed to be till like Tuesday. She's like, come over dressed to my neighborhood. We're going trick-or-treating. You are not missing Halloween. So they got there, and they were all dressed up, and Angela Kinsey had talked to all her neighbors, bought candy for them to hand out, and they went trick-or-treating through Angela's neighborhood, and then back to her house for like a huge bonfire and sparklers and all that stuff after.
That is an amazing friend.
Can you imagine?
Wow.
Can you imagine?
That's incredible.
I was like, the fact that she even thought to do something like that for another person, and just, it's really sweet. It's really sweet to see how deep their friendship goes. And it's not just the 2 of them. Like, there's really nice moments that they talk about between like one of them and Rashida Jones, or I just forgot her name, but the actress who played Jan. Marlon, I can't remember her name now.
I
feel terrible because I love her. But stuff like that too. And it's just, it's really cool. I'm really enjoying it.
Good.
So
that's awesome. That's actually on my hold list.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping it's in within the next few days.
Well, and I was thinking I would want it as an audio for them to read it to me, but now I'm really glad that I didn't because of the photographs.
Yeah.
I'm loving the Polaroids and the pictures that are in there.
I'm so excited.
Yeah. What are you reading?
So, this may surprise everybody. I'm reading a contemporary romance book called All I Want for Christmas by Maggie Knox. And I think I'm literally like 10 or 15 pages into it. So I'm very interested. It's about like music and music stars. So we'll see. And then I'm listening to the audiobook, The Heir, which is the 4th book in the selection series. So doing that again. So yeah, that's what I'm reading. Before we close out, we would love to hear what you guys think about Beach Reads by Emily Henry. If there's something that you want to add in, please email us the Mulberry Library at gmail.com. One day I will get this email right. It is the Mulberry Library at gmail.com.
This might be my favorite part of every episode is you trying to say the email.
So it's literally the simplest email, the Mulberry Library at gmail.com. Whew. Please send us your thoughts, what you rated the book. If you didn't read it, but now you want to read it because you're interested in it, or if we completely turned you off the book, let us know that too. It'll be great. So is there anything else you want to add?
No, I just, if there's another book, if you guys enjoyed the book club idea and you want us to try reading something else, we certainly welcome those suggestions too. So I would be up for trying it again and seeing what else we can do. But
for sure.
Yeah. So I guess that's it. We will be back next month when we actually share a little something with you guys. I had a little thing at the desk that people were filling out. So we're going to reveal your answers in January. So yeah, it'll be fun. But
all right. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Happy reading. Thank you.